To solve this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I notice that 51 and 312, that's kind of like the relationship of 5 to 30. So my first thought is, well, to get from 5 to 30, you multiply by 6. To get from 50 to 312, maybe that's also going to be starting with 6. So I'm going to start off just by looking at what is 6 times 51. 6 times 51 is 306. Well, that's actually pretty close to my 312 that I'm trying to get to. So 312 minus 306 leaves 6 left over. So 312 divided by 51 is equal to 6 with remainder of 6. Now you'll also see this done in a more formal method. So we say 312 divided by 51. Now this is, like I said, a different method than maybe you're used to seeing division questions done. So I'd take this same approach of saying, okay, 6 times 51 gives us 306 with 6 remainder. So by writing in this notation, it's just keeping track of the fact that rather than writing all the numbers up here like we're used to in other forms you may have been already taught, this is just taking us through the estimation process of 6 times 51 giving us the 306. So if you see this notation where you've got this bar coming down the side here, that's what they're doing. So a lot of you are probably used to the approach of seeing, say, 312 divided by 51 written out this way. The answer is still going to be the same. You have to do 6 times 51, 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 5 is 30, 312 minus 306 is 6 remainder. So in this case it's a fairly simple example. It gets you to the same place, but you may see in some of the longer questions that we get there are more steps to it. Okay, now we've got the same type of problem, 318 divided by 14. So supposing I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to go with this, so I'm going to start off by saying, what if there are 10? 10 times 14 is 140. 318 minus 140 is 178. Now 14 into 178, I might try 10 again. So 10 times 14 is again 140 with 38 remainder. I'm going to keep going. This time I'll only do 2, gives me 28 and 10 remainder. So now I can add this up and I come up with 10 plus 10 plus 2 is 22 with a remainder of 10. So 318 divided by 14 is equal to 22 remainder 10. Done the more traditional way, what you might be more accustomed to seeing, 318 and 14. So number of times 14 goes into 31. I've got 2 14s, gives me 28. 3 number of 14s that go into 38. Again, I'm going to say 2. 38 minus 28 is 10 remainder. Different method arrives at the same place. Another one, 503 divided by 11. Using the first method, I'm going to say 40. So 4 times 11, that's 440. Subtracting gives me 63. Now I'm going to multiply by 5. 5 times 11 is 55. 63 minus 55 is 8. And that's my remainder. Let's try it the more traditional way. Number of 11s that go into 50. 4 is 44. 50 minus 44 is 6. Bring down the 3. 63. 5 times 11 is 55. And 8 remainder again. So in conclusion, 503 divided by 11 is equal to 45 with a remainder of 8. So what was Andrea thinking when she wrote this? Well, she started off with looking at choosing an easy number. She wasn't exactly sure what was going to get her to the 614, so by choosing 20, multiplying something by a multiple of 10 is pretty straightforward. 2 times 23 is 46, and then since you're multiplying by 20, it's 460. Subtracting that, you're down to 154. She took a guess then at what that might be, so she tried 6. 6 times 23 is a little trickier. 18, carry the 1, 2 times 6 is 12, 13, and you subtract 138 from 154 and you end up with 16. Since 16 is less than 23, you end up with a remainder of 16 and a total of 26. So 614 divided by 23 is equal to 26, remainder 16. Which quotient is approximately 15? 10 times 38 is equal to 380. So that's getting me part way to where I want to be here at 572. And then half of that again. So half of 380 is 150 plus 40 is 190. So then we add in another 190. Whoops, 570. So that one's getting pretty close to 15. So 572 divided by 38. We're asking whether the quotient is going to be 15. So we'll start off by doing 10. Those are easy numbers to work with. 380. 572 minus 380 is 192. Now I'm going to multiply by 5. 5 times 38. 5 8s are 40. Carry the 4. 3 times 5 is 15. It's 19. Which leaves me with 2 remainder. So that one is pretty close to 15 with a small remainder. Let's look at the next one, and maybe we'll use the more traditional method that a lot of you are familiar with. How many 22s are into 50? 2 22s give us 44 with 6 remainder. We bring down the 2. Now if I go 3 22s, I'm going to be at 66, so it has to be 2 again. 2 22s are 44. 62 minus 44, and the balance remainder is 18. 611 divided by 12. Whoops. Let's try it with this other method. What's my first guess there? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I know that 5 times 12 is 60. So if I go with 50 times 12, that'll be 600. Gives me 11 remainder. So I got off to a lucky guess there. And the final one, 734 divided by 81. Well, I know that 10's not going to do it because that would get me to 810, which is bigger than what I want to end up with. So what if I go with 9? Well, none of these numbers are going to be super easy. So if I say 9 times 81, 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 8 is 72. 729 from 734 is 5 remainder. So the only one that has a quotient of about 15 was A. Which division expression has the same answer as 412 divided by 18? So this is a little bit tricky. It may not necessarily be obvious to you right away. The thing I'm looking at these two numbers and looking at the numbers that I've got here. And I'm trying to see, well, is there some kind of connection I can make between all of them? And what I noticed is that 206 is exactly half of 412, and that 9 is half of 18. So in both cases, these are both half of the numbers that I started off working with. So I think there's a very good chance that 206 divided by 9 is the same as 412 divided by 18. So let's try it out. 412 divided by 18. We'll use this method. 2 18s are 36, so that means 20 18s would be 360. Subtracting that from 412 is 52. How many 52s, how many 18s can I do in 52? Well, what if I start off with 3 18s, 24, 2 to carry, and I get 54. So that's too big. So we go with 2. 2 times 18 again is 36 with 16 remainder. So 412 divided by 18 is equal to 22 with a remainder of 16. Now let's try the one that we think is the same answer. 206 divided by 9. Well, if this was 10, then I'd be wanting to multiply by 20. So let's try that. 20 times 9 is 180. Subtracting that from 206 gives me 26. Number of 9s in 26. We're only going to be able to fit 2 of those in. 2 9s are 18 with 8 remainder. So 206 divided by 9 is equal to 22 with 8 remainder. Now, those two answers don't look exactly the same when you're dealing with the remainders. However, when you convert them into fractions, you'll see that they turn out to be the same. Here, we have 16 remainder out of 18. 16 out of 18 is the same as 8 out of 9. So when you reduce this fraction down, you end up with exactly the same fraction. So in fact, if you plug this into a calculator and plug that into a calculator, you will get exactly the same answer. Create a division problem where you divide a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number and where it would not make sense to use a fraction as an answer. We have 100 tickets to give away to a concert. There are 19 people in our class. How many tickets will each person get?